What's up, ladies and gents, Ghost here, and welcome to my Titanfall first impressions. This is actually a video I've been meaning to make for some time here, haven't quite gotten around to it until now, and I know you guys have most likely seen multiple Titanfall videos of people giving you their first impressions on the game, telling you whether the hype was true or whether the game isn't worth it and their opinions, but I'd just like to share with you guys some things that really stood out for me in the gameplay of Titanfall, and how I can compare that as a Battlefield 4 player who really loves Battlefield 4 but is enjoying the current refreshing pace of Titanfall. As soon as I jumped in my first round of Titanfall, I realised all the similarities it had to Call of Duty, and if you've ever played one of the Call of Duty games, you're going to realise it as well. It's very fast paced, very twitchy, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. They even have a kill cam when you die, which is very Call of Duty-esque in my opinion, but it all works incredibly well with the style of the gameplay. I initially turned my sensitivity down quite a lot to try and mimic what I had in Battlefield 4, and you can see that this guy here was just wall running from wall to wall, jumping all over the place, and people are able to move in this FPS much faster with much more agility than they can in other first person shooters. So I quickly came to realise that I had to turn my sensitivity up somewhat to suit the needs of the game. The infantry play in Titanfall is definitely for me the thing I enjoyed playing the most, and you're going to see a clip coming up here that really made me stand up and realise, wow, there are some things that are possible in Titanfall that just aren't possible in other first person shooters. I'm playing as the assassin class here using the smart pistol. So I end up killing this guy here, and I think, okay, I'm going to continue up this building, go on this staircase, about to lock onto that guy, and a friend comes around the corner. So I decide, okay, I'll go out the window, come back around the side of the building, flank in another window, and end up getting the guy. And when I did that, I was just like, oh my god, that was so epic. I couldn't believe that that kind of thing was possible. When I'd heard about these new techniques within the game, I thought, wow, I already said in a previous video, you guys may remember that I said it's gonna open up to a whole new variety of flanking techniques, and it certainly has done that for me. So coming back to talk about the classes, there are 3 different classes you can choose from. I believe the first one is named Assault, which is pretty much what you will expect. They get an assault rifle. The second one is Assassin, which is the class that I spent almost 100% of my time in Titanfall playing with the smart pistol here, which I'll come to later in the video. I enjoyed that a hell of a lot. The third class's name escapes me, but it was essentially a sniper loadout. You can actually customize your loadouts in Titanfall once you reach a certain rank with weapons that you have unlocked within the game. So the smart pistol is a lock-on weapon, which is pretty controversial for a first-person shooter. I think this was a pretty bold move by Respawn to actually put that kind of a thing in the game. It's not quite as good as it sounds though. It takes 1 lock-on to kill an enemy NPC, but it will take you 4 lock-ons to actually kill an enemy pilot, and it does take a considerable amount of time to lock on to somebody. Usually that person will have turned around and actually killed you if they've realised you're there before you can finish locking onto them. However, the weapon is also incredibly powerful by free firing it. You can spam that thing really fast, and you'll see me taking down multiple pilots with that thing, even if they have assault rifles on them. Now, as infantry, you also get a certain power. If you hit Q, you can use Cloak, which lasts for a few seconds, and even if you're using the smart pistol, you can still lock onto people while you're still cloaked. When you fire your weapon, you will of course be decloaked, however, and there will be a number of other power-ups coming in the full version of the game. So as I mentioned before, there are actually NPC bots within the game, which is quite another bold move by Respawn to put that in a multiplayer first-person shooter, but I think that it works really well. I can understand why Respawn have done this. If they would just stick to the 5 versus 5 human players, it works well with the Titan gameplay, where 5 versus 5 Titans is more than enough for these small-scale maps. But if you would have 5 versus 5 infantry play, it would get a little bit stale, it would get a little bit boring, there really wouldn't be enough action on the map, and I think that the enemy bots really fill that gap well. Titanfall has definitely breathed a new fresh of breath air into the game of sniping. I've never been particularly fond of sniping in most FPSs, but it really feels like you're jumping around with the double jump system, the wall running. You can get into windows easily, you can gain a nice vantage point over your enemy, and the cloaking ability really complements the class extremely well. It doesn't feel like you're just sitting there and camping. Moving from one rooftop to the next in order to get a better position over your enemies is done with the greatest of ease. So I've been waffling on about infantry play for quite some time now, so what about the other half of the game? What about the Titan play? So the primary game mode in Titanfall, at least for the beta, was called Attrition, which is essentially team deathmatch. You gain points by killing enemy Titans, taking out enemy pilots, as well as grunts and spectres. Once the timer in the bottom right of the screen reaches 0, you can call down your Titan anywhere you like on the map. You can reduce this timer by getting enemy kills and also by using burn cards. Once your Titan's been called down, you have a variety of different things you can do with it. You can set it to follow mode so it will follow you and protect you. You can also tell it to protect a certain area of the map. Or you can do the most interesting thing, which is to actually get in the Titan yourself and pilot it manually. Just like as infantry, there are 3 different classes that you can pick as a Titan, but there is only one chassis available. So the Atlas chassis is the one that was in the beta. When the full game comes out, you're also going to have the Strider, which is a more agile version of the Atlas, and you're also going to have access to the Ogre, which is the more armoured version. So you'll find that the Titan play synergizes really well with how you play infantry. The controls feel very intuitive. You can pick 3 different classes, just as you can with infantry, the first of which is artillery, where you get quad rockets as your primary weapon. The second is assault titan, where you have the X016 chain gun, and the third one is the class I'm playing right now, where you get the 40mm cannons. All of the Titans have a special ability, just like you do when you're infantry, so you hit Q for your special ability, and the default is Vortex Shield, which will actually absorb incoming projectiles and allow you to fire them back at your enemies. You also have 2 cooldown abilities. The first is called Rocket Salvo. This will fire a huge barrage of rockets at your enemy. They're quite slow travelling, but if you hit on target, they will do a large amount of damage. Now the second one is your Overpower ability. This will increase all damage that you do in a Titan, and it is extremely powerful. If you look down in the bottom right of my screen, as I'm currently in the Titan, my Titan drop timer has now been replaced by my Overpower timer. So you can see there's around 2 minutes there until I will have my Overpower ability available to me. Once you hit that, you will be overpowered for I think around 20, maybe 30 seconds of time, and the amount of damage you can dish out in a Titan whilst overpowered is pretty insane. Now that said, Titans definitely don't feel overpowered compared to infantry. All pilots come equipped with an anti-Titan weapon, anything from a powerful homing rocket to rapidly firing micro missiles, and these will dish out a hell of a lot of damage to any Titan who gets caught off guard. On top of that, pilots can actually jump on top of your Titan and rodeo you. The only way to deal with them is to actually physically get out of your Titan yourself and deal with the threat on foot, or hope that one of your allies helps you out. If somebody's rodeoing you, they will rip off a small hatch on the back of your Titan's neck, and they will start shooting the inner wiring of your Titan, bypassing your shields and dealing damage directly to your armor. Now I found the game modes in Titan mode very appealing, and they all favoured a different style of gameplay. We've already covered Attrition. The second game mode that was available in the beta was Hardpoint mode, which is very similar to Conquest. You have to capture hardpoints, which essentially act and are captured in the same way as flags are in Conquest mode in Battlefield. The interesting thing is that these hardpoints could only be captured if you were infantry, at least on the map that I tried this game mode on. So you had to play as infantry. If you were in your Titan, you could certainly take out a lot of enemies, but you couldn't really help in capturing flags. The third game mode is called Last Titan Standing. You all spawn in a Titan. There are enemy grunts and spectres as bots on the map, but there are no enemy pilots that spawn in. So you all start off in a Titan, and the last team with the Titan standing wins the game. If you lose your Titan, you can eject and continue playing as a pilot and try and help take out the enemy Titans, but if you die as a pilot, then it's game over, you're dead. No respawns. So I haven't really been talking that much about the technical side of the game, the graphics and all that kind of thing, and to be honest, the reason for that is because the graphics are fairly average. There's not really anything that special to see here. The game is running on a heavily modified Source engine, so you can't really expect anything too great from this FPS, graphics wise. However, it is going to give you some great FPS, even when put on max settings. And I've been streaming this game, which puts a lot of stress on my computer, and even whilst streaming, I've been able to hit upwards of 140 frames per second. So if you can play Battlefield 4 at any decent graphical setting, you're going to have no problem running Titanfall whatsoever. I can't really say this bothers me. I still think the game looks great, it plays great, and graphics have never really been anything that have mattered too much for me. I much prefer reliability and having a good frame rate. So there you go, guys, these were my first impressions of Titanfall. I know they're a little bit late coming down the pipeline. Most people have sort of already finished getting their first impressions done, but I have to say I'm really looking forward to the release of this game come March. It offers such a breath of fresh air over something like Battlefield 4, and don't get me wrong, I love Battlefield 4, but hopping into something like Titanfall for a little bit of a change every now and again is going to be great. Each round will only take you around 10 minutes to play, or even less. In most cases, mine were over in around 7 or 8 minutes, so it's something that you can hop in and hop out of, absolutely no problem at all. The only worry I have about the game is that it may start to become a little bit repetitive at times. I don't doubt that the new double jump feature and the wall running feature are going to allow for some amazing kill streaks and a lot of amazing tactics that people have yet to discover, but I do worry that the game is going to get a little bit repetitive as time goes on. But as always, time will tell with these things. So I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Thanks ever so much for watching as always, and I will see you guys in the next one. Cheers.